Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about Sunday's episode of 90 Day Fiance the other way. We saw Corey and Evelin going to couples therapy, and this incident was revealed during their therapy session. There was a car accident where Evelin was hit by a drunk driver. Super scary. I mean, thankfully she walked away with minor injuries and it was just the car that took the brunt of the damage. But it was a terrifying situation. I can't imagine how scary that was. And we learned, seemingly, that Corey was not there for her, that he was actually with Jenny at the time. Well, things, like most things with the Corey and Evelin storyline that we get on the show, there seem to be elements of truth with heavy exaggeration to paint one or the other in the more positive light. So let's jump right into the video.
I wasn't important anymore to you, to a point that I have a car accident and you'd rather stay with a whore. Last year, when we were broken up, I had a car accident. Some drunk guy was driving and hit my car and everything got destroyed. Luckily, I was okay, but I was definitely traumatized. It was really, really terrifying. He was the only person I contacted for support, but clearly he didn't care enough. When I had my car accident, you met her and you rather stay there instead of come here and be a support. I saw the Instagram stories. I saw what happened. Then I had the car accident. And I went to Instagram and I saw this mutual friend. Instagram story was with Corey, and I heard a woman in it asking for wine. And I say, hey, who is the girl that was there with you? And he said, oh, what girl? There was no girl. Already there were lions.
Here's the thing that's frustrating. We all know that there is a certain cast member that was staying in Ecuador at this time, a cast member that knew the couple, knew both Evelin and Corey, was friendly with both, was actually roommates with Corey at this time, and we're gonna get into this in a second. So let's clear a couple things up about this car accident. So the car accident did in fact happen, but at the time that it happened, Corey had not even met Jenny yet. So we're gonna touch on that Instagram story in just a moment. So this happened, Corey was living in Playas with said cast member. Evelin and Corey were separated, and Evelin was dating that bald-headed guy named Richie at the time that this car accident happened. Supposedly, the Peru story is a bunch of BS anyways. I have been told that Corey and Jenny actually met in Playas, which is about 25 minutes from Ingabao. I don't know if later they traveled together or whatnot, but they did meet in Ecuador. Jenny has always lived just moments from them. So that actually, I think, brings up a contradiction that we see in the episode, because Evelin acts, she's accusing Corey of having been with Jenny, which was supposedly in Peru, if we're to believe the timeline that the show and that Evelin and Corey are giving us on the show. If we're to believe that, then at this time, Corey would have been in Peru with Jenny. If Evelin called him, it's not like even if he did drop everything, get on a bus and go to her, it's not like he would have been there expeditiously. It would have been several hours, maybe even a day's worth of travel. Not quite sure how quickly you can get around by bus, but it wouldn't have been at the drop of a hat. Not like how it would be much more convenient for him to have gone to her if he was just a half an hour away in Playas. Another contradiction that I saw brought up during this therapy session is that Evelin references that she sees an Instagram story of a mutual friend, ding, 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 hang on to that thought, and that's how she knew Corey was with Jenny, because she heard Jenny in the background asking for wine. Well, I've never even seen Corey or Evelin talk about any friends besides Raul on the show. So who is this mysterious mutual friend that would have to be living in Peru? Doesn't make sense. So from what I can confirm, Evelin did tell Corey about the car accident. This happened, like I said, before Corey met Jenny, but Evelin was with this other guy named Richie at the time. Corey really wanted to be there for Evelin. I'm not sure why Evelin called him. Maybe it was because they were married after all. These two do seem, even if they are broken up, they do still like to remain in each other's lives. So that could be. Also, supposedly this SUV is registered to Corey, so it was actually his. Maybe she had to call him because it was his car. Who knows? What I do know is that she was with Richie and she told Corey not to come. Corey was hemming and hawing to said cast member. He was really upset. He was debating whether he should go. And after a couple hours, he did leave Plias to go to Ingabao to be with Evelin. So this whole notion that he wasn't there for Evelin in this time of need is not entirely accurate. So let's talk about the IG story for a moment. The IG story that Evelin talks about on the show was the Instagram story of this cast member who was living in Ecuador at the time in Playa. She and Corey were actually roommates because Evelin had kicked Corey out. So Jenny incorporated into this little friend group, supposedly, that Corey and this cast member had formed in their, their shared living situation and in Plias. And that is the Instagram story that Evelin saw where Jenny was asking for more wine. So again, really interesting that they'll reference this cast member kind of in the show. This is the first instance where we see the mutual friend being referenced to. Yet it seems that this cast member is not being allowed to either verify or contradict any part of this story when they were 100% there while this was all going on. Like I said before, thank God this wasn't a more serious accident, that there wasn't catastrophic injuries involved, and that the only significant damage was to the car. I think we're all grateful for that. I have seen discussion online, and I just wanted to touch on it because I do think it's an interesting question. Like, how much should Corey have felt compelled to go? Well, I think that's a real nuanced question to pose. I think generally when you break up with someone, you break up with someone, and I don't think that you would expect your ex-partner to come to your aid, especially if it wasn't a super serious situation, if it was just more probably emotionally scarring than anything. I think that you wouldn't necessarily expect someone that you broke up with to be there for you. Now, with that being said, she did call him. Why she called him? Was it because he owned the car? Was it because she, something scary happened and she wanted to talk to Corey? Who knows? But it is a nuanced question, and they were married still at the time. I think they are still married at this time. But so Corey did end up going. What really colors this whole thing in a different light is the fact that Corey hadn't met Jenny yet when this accident occurred. And so Evelin bringing this up in this therapy has nothing to do with the Jenny story. It's just an incident, I think, that Evelin can pull from to show that Corey wasn't at her beck and call when she needed him to be. Additionally, not only was Corey not with Jenny at the time because he hadn't met her yet, but Evelin had a boyfriend. So this whole scenario is just not the way it occurred. Again, there's elements of truth. The actual incident did occur, but it definitely didn't happen when they said it happened. And the circumstances as to why Corey was not right there to be there for Evelin is not because of Jenny. It was because Evelin kicked him out of the house and he was living with another cast member from the show. And keep in mind, and Evelin has said this on her Instagram stories as well, that she had to be really talked into even doing this second season of The Other Way. And Corey was going really hard. When they filmed Self-Quarantine, that was when Evelin had found out about Jenny. And even if you go back and watch their Self-Quarantine episode, you can see well, it's kind of always apparent that Evelin doesn't really like Corey, but in that episode, it is really, really apparent. So in my just speculation, I'm sure that when Evelin shut down production because she learned about Jenny, because she learned about where Jenny was, that Jenny wasn't in Peru, she literally was like neighbors, that she was really pissed. And to salvage, I talked about this in my last video, to salvage the storyline and to salvage what they had, production had to go in and renegotiate with her. It was probably she probably negotiated like, Corey, you're gonna look like the absolute biggest dumbass on the planet, and that's just gonna be that. So that's what I suspect is the reason why we're getting this tale of the car crash the way that we're getting it. It did happen. Did not happen when Evelin said it did. Didn't happen how Evelin said it happened. You know, she was hit by a drunk driver. The car was totaled. But she told Corey not to come. Corey went anyways. And Corey hadn't met Jenny yet. The Instagram story that she saw was of the mutual cast member that is really not being allowed to speak out about this. In my opinion, I wish they would let this cast member speak out, because I think it would add a layer of, it would be more compelling television to watch if we knew, because we know that this cast member is literally there right now. So it would be really interesting, I think, if they incorporated that, but they decided not to. So anyways, you guys let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one.